There is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why I am on the trail of the Nephilim.
The Genesis 6 narrative states that the Nephilim are on the earth in those days and also afterwards. If that's true, can we find evidence that corroborates this? I'm L.A. Marzulli. Join me as we go on the trail of the Nephilim.
Welcome to another episode of On the Trail of the Nephilim. I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. We're going to talk about something called the Lovelock Cave. I've been there. It's all over the internet. People keep emailing me on this. L.A., have you seen this? Have you seen this? Yes, I've seen this, but it just keeps, it's everywhere. So I'm going to weigh in on this and tell you what I think is going on with the Lovelock Cave. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Can you imagine your cell phone company leaking your social security number? Good grief. That's what happened to 63,000 individuals who had their private data exposed during a recent data breach. This is why I protect myself with today's sponsor, Virtual Shield, and I absolutely love them. Folks, Virtual Shield's military grade VPN helps protect my private information from the prying eyes of cyber criminals, data mining companies, tech giants, rogue ISPs, and so much more. Start browsing the internet anonymously today with up to 67% off and a 60-day risk-free trial of Virtual Shield by visiting preparewithlamarzulli.com. That's preparewithlamarzulli.com, or simply click the link down in the description box below. Once again, preparewithlamarzulli.com. Don't wait, folks. Do it today. So here's a slideshow for you, and this is the entrance to the Lovelock Cave. Now, thousands of years ago, there was a lake in front of the cave, all right, and it was sort of lush vegetation. All that's gone, and when you drive to it, you're basically driving in a desert, and of course, that all has to do with climate change, but I'm being silly here. So, Lovelock Cave, you can see it right there. It's people go out there and they shoot the signs with shotguns and everything else. It's another shot of where the lake would have been and the road coming up to the actual cave entrance. And there, of course, is the cave right there. And what we know is that the entrance of the cave was here. There was a tunnel that went back this way and another tunnel which went back this way. So it was very extensive. There was also a lot of bat guano when it was first excavated, a lot of bat guano in there. And so they were taking all that out. Then they began to find artifacts, and one thing led to another. The legend about Lovelock Cave comes from Sarah Winnemucca. And Sarah Winnemucca talks about the Sitka, which were red-haired, six-fingered giants. Allegedly, there was a 10-foot skeleton unearthed in that dry lake bed over a century ago. So moving right along, that's a shot of Sarah Winnemucca, what she looked like. And she wrote about the Sitka. And the reason why this is important is, according to Winnemucca, these red-haired, six-fingered giants were cannibalistic and sexually deviant. And they would lay in wait and kidnap people from the tribe. So the Paiutes, Sarah Winnemucca was a Paiute, the Paiutes had it up to here with the whole thing, and they began to chase the giants into the cave. And they piled all sorts of brush in front of the cave, according to Sarah Winnemucca's testimony. They lit the brush on fire, they smoked them out, and when the giants would come out, they would just kill them, just shoot them, because they would take the children, take the people, and eat them. They were cannibalistic. What's interesting about this, when we read the book of Enoch, this is exactly what we see and hear, that the Nephilim became cannibalistic. They were cannibalistic. So, were they over here? In my opinion, absolutely. That's what the Sitka are. They are, in fact, the Nephilim. There's this diaspora of Nephilim tribes. When Joshua and Caleb press into the promised land. Remember, I've talked about the stele, which is found on the north shore of Africa. And what does that say? We are they, who fled from the face of Joshua, the robber, the son of Nun. What's that doing on the north coast of Africa? Hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from the Levant, the promised land. There was a diaspora of the Nephilim tribes, in our opinion, and they fled into the Mediterranean, northern Africa. They came up into Portugal, into Spain, into France, into the UK, into Ireland, and then over to this country. How do we know that? Look at our work on Trail of the Nephilim. Look at the 8-part video series we have on that. But let's move on. So, years ago, M.K. Davis, and there's another gentleman who was with him, and I think Ron Moorhead might have been there too. They all know each other, all good friends. So they went to Lovelock Cave and they found what appeared to be a handprint on the wall. Okay? A very large handprint. You can see the dagger that he's got showing. And what's interesting is 1, 2, 3, 4, there's only 5 fingers there. We were told by Sarah Winnemucca, I believe, that there were 6 fingers to the giant. So there's something going on here. M.K. Davis then put this up on Facebook, social media. When I got there, and here we are inside the cave, and you can see Peggy, Ron Moorhead, and Joe Taylor. We went over to that rock where the handprint was, and someone, or a group of somebodies, came in and removed it. Why would someone do that? And you know, when you're inside the cave like this, you have to know exactly where that hand is. It's very dark in there. There's no lighting. There's just, you can see the handrail here. There's just this deck. And what's interesting is above, and you can almost see it here, on the roof of the cave, it's blackened. And this, of course, goes back into the story that the Paiutes piled all of his wood and brush and everything and lit it on fire and smoked the giants out. But by the time we got to the cave, that's the rock. That's where it would have been. It was gone. That's deliberate. Why would someone remove something like that? Especially because it ties back into the giants. And we know that that's forbidden in mainstream archaeological circles. There are no giants. And yet, we have maybe proof that there were. So there's Joe Taylor, Ron Moorhead, and myself on the entrance to the Lovelock Cave. From there, we went to the museum, and there was a new curator in charge of that museum. And I asked her, can we see the large skulls that you used to display here? She said, no, I can't do that because of NAGPRA, Native American Grave Protection and Repatriation Act. Yeah, that's it. And so we couldn't see them, but she did let us into the area, the library in the museum, where they had all the files and pictures and correspondence, and I was able to glean from that. So here's one of the pictures of one of these very large skulls allegedly found in the cave in and around Lovelock. An ancient American actually was there and took pictures. They had these things on display. M.K. Davis has a great picture. The skull is much, much larger than a normal human being. So let's read what this, I discovered this little piece of information. In any case, Reed, who was sort of an amateur archaeologist, went on to attempt to validate the legend through physical evidence. The legend from the Paiutes, of course, that according to some accounts, the Sitka escaping and fleeing to other areas, while others maintain that rather than being suffocated, the red-headed giant people were merely smoked out of the cave and then shot. So Reed is trying to validate what the oral tradition is from Sarah Winnemucca. He believed he found evidence in skeletons found in the vicinity, which his measurements indicated ranged from 7.5 to 10 feet tall. He also located several skulls which he surmised were Neanderthal type. Where have we heard this before? When people go into the mounds in Ohio, they report elongated skulls, heavy brow ridges, and they will immediately equate them back to Neanderthal. Isn't that interesting? In addition, he recorded several descriptions from his informants of large and or red-headed mummies found in the area. So we get reports like this. And of course, this is about 100 years ago, getting close. The trail was very cold. If you do go to Lovelock Cave, you won't see anything. So here's the cave. the entrance in that like grotto, for lack of a better word. The area to the left, the tunnels that went, the cave that went down on both sides has all been sealed off. So future generations could not get back there and to see what might have been missed. We'll never know. So moving right along, there's another shot of one of the skulls. Very heavy brow ridge, very robust mandible, the lower jaw. This is an artist's conception of what the Sitka may have looked like. Of course, we don't know. We only have Sarah Winnemucca's descriptions. One of the artifacts, which I found very interesting, was a very large axe head. So this is Peggy's hand. You can get an idea just how big this thing is. It's about this long. Could a 5'6" Native American wield something like that? Yeah, they could, but that's a really large axe head. I've seen larger. When you get up around 28 pounds, that's a really large axe head. So could this be a remnant from the Sitka? Certainly it could be. What's interesting is that modern day archaeologists, with all due respect to them, tell us over and over and over again that these large axe heads and large spearheads and lances that are found are all ceremonial. But how do they really know that? That's just conjecture on their part. What if it's not ceremonial? There's also talk about the very large moccasins that were found, 15-inch moccasins. Well, they were actually on display in the museum, and Peggy put her foot next to it. Very large moccasin there. So, my shoe is about maybe another inch larger than Peggy's, perhaps 2 inches. So it's a pretty big guy here who's wearing that size shoe. I'm right at 6 feet. So we're looking at someone 7 feet tall, 7.5 feet tall. We'll never know. The bottom line is, folks, that there is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world. I will be at the Calvary Church in Jupiter, Florida at the end of April. I hope to see you there. Last time we were there on a Friday night, there were upwards of 600 to 700 people. Our place was packed. And I'll be speaking 3 different times, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. No repeats from last year, and no repeats from any of the presentations. In other words, Friday night is unique and stands alone, as does Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. We'll probably kick off Friday night with Days of Chaos, although I'm not sure yet. We'll probably do that. And then we'll get into the Roswell events that happened there, our film on Roswell, the cattle mutilation, abductions, and of course, finally, Saturday afternoon, the rungs on the ladder of disclosure. I hope to see you there. Please visit our website, lamarzulli.com, lamarzulli.net. Both of those links will get you there, lamarzulli.com. Lots of things to see. Almost 30 films. We'll have the last 2 in the UFO disclosure series coming up probably by the end of the month. Tomorrow I go to Prophecy Watchers and I'll be filming there about episodes 9 and 10 in the UFO disclosure series. Thanks so much for watching, folks. We'll be back tomorrow with a very special UFO report. Hey folks, I have a special announcement. We just opened up a new website. It's called RoswellRevisited.com. RoswellRevisited.com. I want to thank Chauncey Green for getting that set up for it. Please go there and check it out. We've got a deal for you. We really do. Both of these incredible DVDs. This is real investigative journalism. RoswellRevisited.com. Go check it out now. And we've got a special deal for both of these 2 DVDs, and I think you'll find it interesting. By the way, when you guys buy the DVDs from us or watch on our streaming station, you help keep the lights on here and keep us moving the ball further down the court. UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. RoswellRevisited.com, RoswellRevisited.com. And before I go, I want to give a shout out to Gil Zimmerman, because Gil and I worked on this film, and I think it's the best 2 films we've ever created in our entire time together and in the entire UFO film series. 9 and 10 will be coming out very shortly. More about that soon. Meantime, RoswellRevisited.com. Thanks so much.